Hey guys, welcome back. This is a new video build series on my channel, and over the next few weeks we'll be talking about building and weathering and painting and all the rest of the stuff that goes into it for a 72nd scale EA-18G Growler. Hey guys, welcome back for another video build series. Always exciting time when you get a new kit, get to open a box and start a new build. Love it. So I think that feeling never kind of goes away. So as you've probably seen the title of the video, you know what this is all about. We're going to build this guy, the 72nd scale Academy EA-18G Growler, which is essentially a Hornet F-18F with the pods and the radar jamming stuff. It's a variant basically. I built the Hasegawa kit, the 72nd scale one, when I first came back to the hobby a few years back. That was a nice little kit, but the Academy kit, from what I've seen, what I've heard, it's just a little bit better quality than Hasegawa. It's newer, the panel lines and details a little bit finer, and supposedly built some nice kits. The only drawback with these guys are, pretty much, I know this kit for sure, and I'm sure it's the same with the other kits as well, you can't have the canopy up, you have to have the canopy down. It's not a big deal. I guess you could do it up, you'd have to cut it and that kind of stuff. That's a little risky for me, I'll just go with it down. So, the box here has the beautiful Shadowhawk markings, like the black tails and the spine, but we're actually going to do something a little bit different. So, let me show you what we've got planned. So, I got these 2 Bobs decals, 72097, the Centennial Aviation schemes. So I got a Prowler and a Growler. And if you see that, it's the one at the bottom, the Vikings. So I really like the look of this. It's not the usual kind of light ghost grey, dark ghost grey. It's the blues, which really caught my eye. It looks pretty nice. It's something different. And I kind of like the tail with the lightning bolt and stuff. Again, you guys see that. So we can go with that scheme. Now, it's a little tricky to get those blue colours. Nobody really makes them, per se, these colours. The Navy went for a kind of weird kind of FS kind of colour and shade. I tried mixing some up with some Tamiya paints and some other stuff, and I didn't really get something close. So I had to go with something different for me. These little tiny tester guys. So Testers is pretty much the only kind of brand that makes these colours kind of right out the bottle without having to do mixing and stuff. We'll go for the paint when we get to that stage, but the only thing is, note these tiny little things are enamel paints. Now that's not a big issue. I'm typically a lacquer paint guy right now, so lacquer obviously dries really quick, like minutes, whereas enamels are days. So that's the only challenge. So when we get to the painting stage, we have to make sure we don't rush things, and with these different colours and tape masking and stuff, we really take our time. So it's been a really long time since I used one of these paints. I can't remember exactly how well they go down. I think they paint pretty good. It's just a matter of really just kind of taking our time and maybe leaving each colour maybe a week or not, if not longer, just to really cure so we don't get those fingerprint marks in when we touch it and that kind of stuff. So just be careful with the enamels. But that's just enamel paints. Again, we'll talk through numbers and stuff when we get to that part. Pretty much out the box. The only other thing is the obligatory resin seats. I got the Quick Boost seats, the Aces 2 seats, and as you guys know, I like the Quick Boost because you have the seat belts molded into paint rather than photo etch. Photo etch, boo. These look a little softly molded. We'll see. We'll prime them up and see how they look. We might go to kit ones. We'll take that kind of decision when we get there. Not too much stuff in here. You see quite a few little sprues, but not tons. It's a 72nd scale kit, but this is a pretty affordable. This would be a good kit probably for a beginner. And 72nd scale is a really nice size too. As you've seen with my other builds, like the F-14 Tomcat, I did Great War Hobby 72nd scale. I create a little kind of carry diorama with some ground crew and that kind of stuff. So these, I do like 72nd scales that does kind of allow you to do that kind of diorama without taking too much kind of space up. And nice size. So I'm really kind of into the 72nd scale right now. So we're working the scales. As you know, we started, my first build was a 32nd scale. My first video build was a 32nd scale MiG-29 we did earlier in the year. Excuse me, my alarms go off on my phone. Now, this has been a nightmare. This is like the 6th or 7th time I try to record this video. It's like every time somebody distracts me or something happens. So if I'm kind of lost my enthusiasm for this segment, I apologise, but I'm not filming it again. But this time, it is what it is. So anyway, going back to this, where are we at? Scales. So yeah, so I started with a 32nd scale video build, I did a 48 scale, which is a Eurofighter, which I just completed. Now we're doing 70 seconds, so we're getting smaller and smaller. I assure you I will not be doing a 144 fast jet. That's way too small for me, and my eyesight wouldn't be able to handle that. So this is pretty as small as we're going to go probably on this channel, unless we do like a cargo plane or something like that, like a C-17. Yeah, so I think time to get started. So as always, it'll be a multi-part series. I shoot them on Fridays. They go out UK time around about lunchtime on a Friday is typically how I have them release scheduled, kind of preset and scheduled. We'll do multiple parts. I'm not being 70-second scale. I'm not exactly sure how much work goes into this one. We'll play it by ear. There'll be, like I say, multiple parts. The first part today, obviously, is the introduction, and we'll talk about the cockpit, and then we'll start the assembly. We'll do a part about weathering and painting and decals, that kind of thing. I like to kind of split them up, so if it's something you're not interested in, you don't have to watch that video, but if you come back and you want to see a certain topic like decals or like I say, a weathering, you can just watch that one part, and that kind of give you what you need, hopefully, to, if you like what I do, that is. Pretty much it. So, like I said, if you do want to follow the series, you're not a subscriber already, please subscribe, and then every Friday when they do be released, you'll get a notification, so you'll be able to catch the videos as they come up. And like I say, it'll go on for a few weeks, a few parts at least, maybe 4, if some of them got to 8. So we'll just see, again, play it by ear. So enough waffling, let me switch down to the bench and let's start building this guy. We'll start, as always, we'll start with a cockpit, and we'll talk about the cockpit details, and we'll go from there. Right, so here's the instructions in front of us. It's one of these where it kind of concertines out. Unusually, you don't start with a cockpit. That's step number 4 in instructions. You start with some other stuff, but we are going to do that first. What I've done already, though, is what I like to do always in builds, which I always forget, and that is drill the holes where it tells you to drill the holes and take care of that. So in the lower fuselage here, you can see, well, tiny, you see it drilled holes there, the 2 there, and the 3 down the spine. Also, now, I don't know if I should have done this or it's worth doing or not, but if you're a beginner or whatever, I wouldn't worry about this. But this part right here, you got to cut out a part to put these guys in. So I'm guessing this is probably a bottom fuselage of a normal Hornet, and for the Growler, it's slightly different flaps and stuff. So see here where I've kind of done it. So I cut this hole and I've glued in the part, and also there's a gap that needs to be filled. Now the problem with this is there's so much nice detail, pound line detail and stuff here, you're going to lose that when you fill it. So I mean, I'll be tempted to just leave it and not put those parts in, to be honest with you. You can see on the other side there as well, so there's a gap. This one's a little bit of a bigger gap I created, but the part's glued in nonetheless. And then what will happen is, once these guys go on, like that, the bottom side of the wings, then it's probably best put those in first and then fill it, I guess, fill those little gaps. So again, I wouldn't, when it's all about cutting stuff and surgery, unless you're really confident about this, I wouldn't bother, because otherwise you just ruin your kit. And if you cut a bunch of holes and stuff and you can't fix it, then it goes in the trash right away, right? So, I mean, I did do it. I'm not aware of doing it before. In the end, I'll just do it anyway. So I did cut it and I'll fill it, but in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have bothered. And how to cut it, I just used a razor saw. So I just took the parts and kind of laid them onto the plastic and drew around with Sharpie, kind of where they went, because there's actually no lines on here to help you either, no power lines, so it makes it a little tricky too. So I just kind of literally just sawed 2 sides down, and with a knife just kind of cut the back end and kind of took the pieces out. And then to sand it down, I have a little file right here. I just went and just filed each side to make it big enough so I can get those pieces in, like I said. So that was the first thing I did. Next up, cockpit. This is super tiny. Again, you see by the size of my fingers how small this is. If you can, actually really nice detail, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how much you can see of that, but now these parts are just really nice fit. These just click in. I've not glued any of this, so I'm going to paint them separately. So I just kind of place these in, and yeah, it looks really good. There's some decals for the instruments and the instrument panel, which I really like. When it comes to 70-second scale, I really kind of like the decals. I think it's just the easiest way, because there's no way you can paint this stuff. It's just, for me, it's too small and fiddly and stuff. So I'm going to take this apart and paint it. I'm not going to bother priming or doing pre-shading or that kind of stuff because it's so small, the canopy is going to be down, it's just a waste of time for me. There's no point priming because, again, this is it, canopy's going to be down, so you're not going to be touching this. There'll be no wear for the fingers or anything, it's just going to be kind of hidden behind the glass. So there's no need for this kind of scale and small to prime and pre-shade, I don't think. Especially when the seats go in. If the seats go in, it's going to take up the whole, pretty much the whole cockpit floor. Talking about seats, as you know, I've got the quick boost ones. Detail is a little bit better than the kit ones, but mainly because of the seat belts and stuff. But you know what? It's not going to work. To get these in, you have to do some little bit of surgery and stuff, and I really can't be bothered. It's not, the risk and reward isn't there. So the kit ones basically come in two parts. You've got this guy and the front, and they just basically clip together. They don't look awfully bad, and then the front one you actually glue the control stick in to the seat. See, you've got a little bit of rivet detail in there and stuff, it's not too bad. And then what happens is, you can see on the cockpit floor there's that kind of like the bump. It basically just sits over the bump. And a perfect fit. So that's why I'm not going to resin ones. So I go to resin ones, I've got to hollow out the bottom and try to get in the fit and stuff. It's just not worth the risk, the hassle. I mean, these look okay, and once the paint and stuff will be fine. Again, you're not going to see any of this stuff, it's 72nd scale. But yeah, I think overall it looked pretty good. I'm actually kind of tempted. I like these kind of like the way it's kind of molded on this plastic. I might just keep that on, paint them. I mean, it's actually even nice to kind of get them installed and cut off at the very end once they're glued in. That might be the way to go, I think. So 2 seats, and then that's pretty much it. Where I'm at, I'm going to paint this guy too, which focus, which sits behind this cockpit. Fits like that. Again, so far really nice. No glue on this at all, it's just push fit. Once it's painted, I'll obviously glue it back together, glue it together to keep it moving around and stuff. But yeah, really nice detail, and so far so good. So that's where I'm up to. I'm going to go ahead and paint the seat like I mentioned. Sorry, not seat, paint the cockpit like I mentioned. And I'll use the usual dark gold grey. I've got MRP, which I'll use. It's a gift that keeps on giving. I've got a bottle of MRP and I've had it for years, and you know, when you're using such small amounts in the cockpits and stuff, it lasts forever. So dark gold grey is for the cockpit, and then we'll come back and we'll get going on the next stage, which will probably be on the decals, the instrument panel. Right, so we're painted. So that's the cockpit. As you can see how tiny it is. Let me hold it close to the camera so you can see a better idea. So it's just painted, as I mentioned before, with MRP dark gold grey, which is FS36231. And yeah, the bottle of this is going to last you a lifetime, unless you're doing hundreds of American aircraft or whatever. So painted that colour, painted the 2 instrument panels for the electronic war officer and the pilot, same colour, and kind of shroud I painted with black. Black, I just used Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, because I kind of like the kind of sheen and kind of the finish it provides. I'm using my primer of choice, but also I like it for the kind of trim and stuff. Seats are painted, again, just with the same black. I'll go ahead and just do some hand paint the detail and stuff on those a little bit later. And what else? That's pretty much it. I painted the rear part black. I'm not sure if it is black or not, but I'll check, and if not I'll change it. But I thought while I was at it, I'm painting the spray gun, I might as well just do it. So I did that, and finally on the actual top upper fuselage, I painted the inside with the same grey, the dark gold grey, and at top I just hit with the black, same black, the Mr. Surfacer, around the edge of the frame and the front here. Just makes it easier to paint now, because once you drop this cockpit in, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to paint, so the cockpit just drops in like that. Also, those of you who are keen-eyed will see I actually went ahead and filled those gaps we talked about earlier on the wings, where we added those little parts. So this has been filled. I used my favourite filler, which is Vallejo plastic putty, because it's water-based. It's kind of like perfect plastic putty kind of thing, but it comes in smaller, kind of, they don't dry out so quick, I find. So I just applied it, and then with a damp Q-tip, just after like
a couple of minutes of it drying, I just wipe all the excess off and just leave it in the grooves. And you probably need to give it, because it's quite a big gap, I'll give it one more coat, maybe tomorrow, and then kind of sand it down a little bit and smooth it out. But yeah, looking a lot better. I was a little nervous because I kind of overcut that a little bit, but yeah, the filler kind of saved the day there. It kind of looks okay now. Once it's painted and everything, it's all going to blend in. And that's where we're at. So what we're going to do now, if I grab the instructions, is apply all these decals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so on the sides, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 little tiny little decals to apply. So I'm going to go ahead and, I don't want to bore you guys on the camera, so I'll go ahead and apply those 14 decals, and we'll come back and we'll start carry on with the rest of the cockpit. Okay, we're back and we're done with the tub. So just really an evening's work, probably 2 or 3 hours, but it built up really nice in the end. It's almost hard for you to see because it's so small, but hopefully, maybe on the angle there you can see it. So looking back at the decals, I thought they were more of the screens. It was just such a screen that kind of screens themselves rather than outline with a black outline. So I went back and painted the instrument panels black, and then gave them a dry brush of sky grey, very lightly, and then also around the screens and the white buttons I did use my favourite white, which is the ceramite white from Citadel. It's really thick. So that's kind of what I used for dry brushing. Again, it's going to be hard for you to see because it's just so small, but you kind of see a little bit. The decals went down really nicely with set and sole for the sides there, as you can see. Painted the sticks, control sticks, with rubber black. Just give it a little bit of a contrast to the black seats. Seat cushions, I used Middlestone. And dry brush the seats using aluminum. Model Air are really good for they're supposed to be for airbrushes, but they're really good for hand painting. So just a tip, if you're looking for any kind of basic kind of like things like metallics, the Model Air range is really nice actually for hand painting and dry brushing, that kind of stuff. What else? The straps. So straps, let's talk about straps. So obviously it comes with no straps or no decals or nothing, so I use this. I have this 1mm real thin tape. Now this is a little too thick. Now looking on the tape, it should be about 1/2 mil would be good, but hey ho, it's not going to see much again anyway. Like I said, the canopy's going to be down, and it's 72nd scale, so I think it's better than nothing. So basically what I do is I use that tape, as you can see, for the straps, and I basically just, where does it go? Lost my temp. Oh, there it is. So I want to stick up something plastic so I could peel it back off. So I just put some strips onto my circle cut template here and just sprayed it. So I used a khaki color for straps, XF49. And I basically just, like I said, just put a couple strips on and sprayed it, and that was it. Then I just basically stuck it on. Once it's dried, I stuck it onto the seat, molded it, and cut to where I wanted it to be. Didn't go crazy or anything with this, doing kind of buckles and all that kind of stuff. Again, I was keeping this one simple, so just a couple of belts you see on each one. Again, a little bit too thick. Probably more 1mm is probably good for 48 scale, but like I say, it's better than having nothing at all. So yeah, kind of really happy how it turned out. The last thing I did was for the seats and a little bit around the edge, just a little weathering. You've seen me use this before, but Citadel Agraf Earthshade, which is basically a brown wash, water-based. I really love this stuff, and the Nolan oil, which is black. So I just put a little bit on the seats, just give some contrast, and kind of around the cockpit a little bit, dirty it up. And that pretty much is it. Oh, and then obviously per the instructions, so it's more secure, I stuck it in the front fuselage section. Now, I never realized the back seat was so much higher than the lower seat, but hey, I guess that's what it is. But I thought they were kind of level, but I did dry brush the shroud here too, and just give it some kind of contrast. But you can see it kind of a little bit different. And I really like how the decals turned out, because they're just for like kind of the screens, but they're kind of shiny and glossy, and it's again hard to see on the camera, but gave it a really nice kind of, dropped it. Never good. Oh, but it looks like we're on one piece still, so. So, I'm trying to get that, there you go, you can see better that. See the front screen? You can see the front screen better there, like got the right angle of light coming in. You can see how it's real nice, how you have to paint it, which is difficult. So you can just go ahead and just use these decals instead. And like I said, you just kind of, to give it a nice kind of like little gloss kind of like contrast to the rest of it. The back, it's going to be hard to see. Yeah, like I say, dry brushed it. Finally, I painted the throttle on the left there, and on the control stick and the throttle, the white buttons, I just used a cocktail stick or toothpick, no matter where you are in the world, dipped it in a little bit of that white I have, Citadel white, and just tapped it on to give a button, white button on each. And that is it. It's kind of hard. I hope you can see that okay. Like I say, it's 70-second scale, and you can see against my fingernail there. Excuse my dirty fingernail. How small this thing is, but yeah, really happy how that turned out. It was fun to do, not too tricky. Like I say, I didn't go crazy with it, just to kind of keep it simple. And yeah, it's going to look really good once it's buttoned up inside the jet. So that concludes part number 1. This part was really all about the cockpit and the introduction. Next week we're going to look at the main fuselage. So we kind of did step 4 already. So we're going to go back a little bit. These instructions, by the way, are really nice, well laid out. We can go back and work on putting the fuselage together. Looks like we're doing some intake stuff, horizontal stabilizers, that kind of stuff. So next week, same time next week, we're going to do assembly. That'll be based on getting the main fuselage together, and then we'll probably do one more part after that for tanks and weapons and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll do paint and weathering, and that should be pretty much it. So we'll kind of, like I said before, we'll do it kind of bite size. I don't want to kind of make it waffled and go on for hours. I'm trying to keep each one's like 15-20 minutes max. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and like I mentioned earlier, please subscribe if you want to catch notifications for my next ones. And until next week, have a good one, take care, and see you later. Bye bye.